Hello, welcome everyone to this MINDtheGEPs Open Forum meeting. We will have two presenters today, Małgorzata Grzelewska, the Vice Chancellor at Jagiellonian University, and myself representing the Security, Safety and Equal Treatment Department, SAFE JU. And our meeting and our presentation is composed of two presentations. First on open, transparent and merit-based recruitment procedure, and then we will go on to the presentation on advancing gender equality in academia through training, and I will make short presentation on the rationale, why we should even take care of training, gender trainings, and then I will present few recommendations based on the research made on gender trainings in academia, and I will close the presentation with presenting the opportunities of gender trainings at Jagiellonian University, and we will have time for questions at the end of our meeting. Altogether, we have 1 hour and a half, and I hope it will be a pleasant and fruitful joyride, let's say. And let's begin. I will give the floor to Ms. Małgorzata Grzelewska. Thank you.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you very much, Eva, for inviting the organizers, for inviting me to this session, and for the possibility to share with you some of the experience, sort of institutional experience that we have had as the Jagiellonian University in developing and implementing the new recruitment policy at our university. Okay. First of all, I was sort of wondering what I should start with, and I think that I will start with the context. I will provide some background information so that you know how we worked on the OTMR policy. I would like to tell you the what process we went through when we decided to work on the new recruitment policy at the university. And I would like to share with you also the outcomes of the effort that we have taken so far. And perhaps I know that many of your universities are fully aware of what Human Resources Excellence in Research Award is, what the European Charter for Researchers is. But this is like a very important starting point for our university to talk about the recruitment policy and the changes that institutional changes that we introduced. So in 2000, so that's why I decided to touch upon this topic, as it was the Human Resource Excellence Research Award was really a trigger for the university to embark on this long journey of transforming the recruitment process at our university. So it all started with the declaration signed by the rector of the university in 2015, and the declaration of commitment and of commitment to respect the rules included in the European Charter for Researchers. And with this declaration, with this commitment, we decided to adjust our policies in a sense and to review our policies so that the HR policies, so that they are compliant with the principles stipulated in the European Charter for Researchers and the Code of Conduct for the Recruitment of Researchers. And in 2017, we went through an internal review and a sort of control and audit carried out by the European Commission experts who, having reviewed all our practices, decided to grant us, sort of appreciated our efforts and awarded the university this Human Resource Excellence in Research Award. And so why do universities, why do research institutions apply for this award, and why do they go through this, I would say, tiring and highly stressful process? audits. So all the universities, all the research institutions that have that are awarded this human resource excellence research label, so to say, they can apply. They can apply for instance, for European Commission grants. And this is one of the requirements for the institutions to participate in this competitive competitions. And of course, the motivation behind this effort is also that the institutions are better sort of internationally recognized, because the award sort of confirms that the institutions with the logo, with this distinction, meet the highest possible standards as far as recruitment processes go. And they also strive to provide, to build an ecosystem for researchers to thrive and to develop and carry out their research. And the European Commission, the European Commission formulated the principles and the values that were included in the European Commission recommendations in 2023. Are translated into, are presented in those two documents. It is the European Charter for Researchers that establishes the general roles and rights of researchers and funders and policymakers. And the second document, the Code of Conduct for the Recruitment of Researchers, that outlines the basic principles and requirements related to the requesting or requiring from the institutions to apply clear and open and transparent rules when recruiting researchers. And I mentioned those because they sort of are the base. They became the starting points. The principles are really the point of reference for universities to construct their recruitment policies. And the European Charter for Researchers and the Code of Conduct for the Recruitment of Researchers are sort of articulated in 4 pillars and now in 20 principles. In the past years, it was 4 pillars and 40 principles, but last December, the European Commission reduced the number of principles into 2, not of course missing any of the important aspects of the recruitment and research career development, but still sort of reformulated the principles so as to make them sort of more concrete and reduce the number. And so the European Charter for Researchers have like four pillars. And the first pillar, the first pillar governs the fundamental principles of the Charter for Researchers and its commitment towards supporting excellence in research. And the values under this pillar are by nature transversal, and they, as such, should be mainstreamed into all other principles, and they should be taken into consideration when deploying in the deployment of the rest of principles. The second pillar highlights an open and transparent recruitment of researchers and a fair assessment of researchers free of gender and other biases. Within the third pillar, the universities and research institutions that follow the charter principles and that have been awarded granted the award, they are expected to create working conditions that support work-life balance and stability of employment for its employees. The fourth pillar of the charter focuses on career development and professional development opportunities that the universities should create and should provide to its employees. when you look at when you read the text of the European Commission recommendations, the European Charter for Researchers, you can see a lot of reference points to the gender dimension, to the gender equality. And it is the universities that and the organizations that have this European HR Excellence in Research label should foster gender equality and gender balance in research teams, in managerial and decision-making bodies, in recruitment, in promotion committees and advisory groups. They should also embrace diversity in their practices and acknowledge unconscious bias, especially in recruiting and in promoting, in advancing the research careers. And of course, another aspect that should be taken into consideration when developing the HR policies at universities, it should be ensuring work-life balance which is relevant both to men and women. Oh, I've got a problem with this. The original one was a little bit more visible, so sorry for that. This graph was to present the the place where the university is right now in the process of the HR award, because we are in the process of the renewal of this distinction. And we are currently waiting for the experts from the European Commission to come and visit us and sort of review and see and judge, assess, right, what we have done so far in the context of the European Charter for Researchers, and how much we have advanced, if we have achieved what we planned for. So we are still waiting for this renewal to come. And in 2020, we had a sort of interim visit from the European experts here at the university. Well, since it was the COVID time, so it was an on-site visit, but the experts wanted to see how we were doing, and they especially examined the OTMR, that is open, transparent, merit-based recruitment at the university. And at that time, they praised us for the effort that we had taken, but still they pointed out that there are some more things to carry out and to do if we want to excel in this area. So we received a set of recommendations concerning the recruitment policies, and we just took it very seriously. Although the general assessment of the university was very positive and was very good, so we just took it very, very seriously. We decided that it was time to look deeper into our policies, recruitment policies, and perhaps revise them and see if we can do better. And that was a very good timing, because we appointed a new steering committee for the Human Resource Excellence in Research Award, and we had also a new working group. And we saw to the fact that the group should be composed of representatives, should bring together representatives from different community actors. So we had professional staff, but we had researchers. We had people who had some health functions at the university, like vice deans or deans. It was very important because this sort of guaranteed the multi-aspect and a different perspective on the processes. And so what we decided, what was the first step for us to before we started planning a new recruitment or revising the recruitment policy, we decided to do some sort of a desk research. And since the university has 16 faculties, and we realized that practices within particular faculties may differ, so we decided we wanted to confront it, and we wanted to see if all faculties observe the same principles, or there are some varying principles among faculties. And we formulated a set of questions that would help us assess the status quo. And these are some of the questions that we formulated, like, is there a key to selection boards appointments? Who appoints the selection boards? Are the selection boards standing on temporary? Are they appointed for, let's say, a 4-year term, or are they appointed only when a given job opening is available? Does the composition of selection boards vary according to the profile of the post, right? The European Commission proposed such a nomenclature, like the classification of researchers, calling them R1 until R4. And R1 means that it is an early career researcher, while R4, it means an advanced independent researcher. So according to the European Commission and the European policy, the competitions should be relevant for a given post. So the requirements should be relevant for a given post. So we wanted to check if the selection boards really have members, have representatives of different disciplines, and who have experience and knowledge relevant to the post that is going to be to the competition that is being held. We also wanted to see how large the selection boards are, and if faculties had internal regulations, if there was any control mechanism in place, and if the faculty had or what type of appeal procedures the faculty had. And of course, we did not question the fact that all faculties acted in accordance with all legal regulations that were within the university. That's our internal regulations, and we did not question that the faculties acted according to the national law. So that was not a problem, right? So we knew that everybody was under control and within the legal requirements. We just wanted to see what were the individual solutions offered on each faculty. And what were the findings of this review? So well, of course, we knew that faculties had autonomy, so we expected that the answers would be would differ. But what we found was a little bit surprising, in a sense that some of faculties had one selection board and others had two selection boards. The scopes of competences varied. Some selection boards had only 3 members, and some had up to 20 members. Some had even number of members, some had uneven number of members. Some were, as I mentioned before, they were appointed for a fixed period of time, and some were appointed only when the need arose. Also, we wanted to see how faculties communicated the job offerings. If job offerings could be were available, if people could easily, if potential candidates could easily find out that a job opening was there. And it turned out that only 9 out of 16 faculties published information related to the recruitment of the websites. They did publish as required on Euro Access, but they did not publish the information on the recruitment procedures, for instance. So there was only the general and the most important information published. Of course, there was no uniform recruitment document, so everybody had their own templates. There was no formal ongoing monitoring of the quality of the recruitment process. Of course, candidates who were rejected could appeal, but there was no formalized appeal procedure on the faculty level, and no formal procedure on the university level. And of course, what we also found out was that there was low awareness and sensitivity related to gender issues. So when the deans realized that their selection boards were not compliant with the principles of the charter, so they were a little bit surprised, but the reaction would be a smile also, right? So we realized that there is a lot to be done as regards the awareness raising and sensitivity increasing. So what we did next, we also having that knowledge, we decided that perhaps we would like to see what is the optimal model, right? So how others do the recruitment. And we did something like a benchmarking exercise. We looked at other universities mainly in Europe, especially those who were holders of the HR Excellence in Research Award. And we looked into their practices, the recruitment tools, their templates. So we were looking for inspiration because we decided that we wanted to learn from the best. And having done this desk research, and having reviewed our internal practices, we started working on the OTMR policy as the working team of HR. And this was a long process. It was a step-by-step process. First of all, we decided that we need to answer the question, what do we need the OTMR policy for, right? Because OTMR policy, it's an open, transparent, merit-based policy recommended by the European Commission. Why do we need this policy for? And the answer was that, well, as the university that aspires to be international, as a research-based, intensive research-based university, we want to reach for talent, not only internally, not only nationally, but also globally. So we need to make sure that our policies, our practices are professional, and that they enable the best talent, the best people to apply, and be sure that the recruitment processes and procedures are fair and open. When deciding on this policy, when deciding on the aims of the policy, of course we had a lot of debates within the HR team, but there were no controversies. So we just realized that we all agreed to the aims of the policy. And at the bottom of the slide, you've got all those in yellow. You have all the principles that we included in this policy. That is transparency, openness, merit-based assessment, equal treatment, data confidentiality, effective communication, accessibility. These are the principles outlined in the European Charter for Researchers, and we decided also to emphasize that these are the principles we want to follow at the university. And what are the main points of the policy, of this document that we drafted? So the document, in fact, embraces all aspects of the recruitment, starting from the publication of the job opening to the publication of the result of the selection process. And we wanted in each paragraph, step by step, provide the framework for the recruiters and for the candidates so that they know what the requirements are and what they can expect. And we decided that it is essential to have a good, as wide as possible publication of information on the selection procedure. So of course, we as the university are obliged to publish the job openings on EURA-Access, on the ministry's website, and in our university's public information bulletin. But we also encourage in this policy the units to promote the job opening, to disseminate the information as widely as possible through social media, through networks of researchers, university consortia, etc., etc. We also fixed a date. We decided that the candidates, the potential candidates, should have at least should have 30 days for submitting the application. So it was not a 7-day time, but we wanted to give candidates enough time, sufficient time to file the application. And of course, again, referring back to the principles of the Charter, we decided to develop a special template for job openings and make it available both in Polish, of course, and in English, with some that contains some obligatory information like the requirements, the selection criteria, number of the type of employment, contact person, etc., etc. So this is a fixed template, and all units that post that offer offer a job. Sorry for this. I don't know if you can hear a clock, but I put a very old clock in my room, and sometimes it just when time comes it strikes. But perhaps it shows me that I should finish. Okay, so yes, but of course we also described, the policy also describes the submission process, and we decided to limit also administrative burdens. So in the past, the candidates, no matter what stage of the recruitment it was, the candidates were required to provide all the necessary documents, original documents, translated documents into Polish at the very first stage of the recruitment. Now we changed that requirement, and only the candidates who passed the first stage are required to provide more paperwork and more information. We also decided on we also explicitly defined how selection boards should be appointed and who should be in the selection committee. We also described the modes of operations, right? The policy also describes the assessment of selection of candidates. So the candidates may be required to provide a presentation or to conduct a lecture. The candidates may also be the documents, the accomplishments may also be reviewed by external reviewers. The policy for the first time, in fact, also formally described in detail appeal procedure at the university. Along with the appointment of appeal board. We also defined and discussed the quality assurance system and the gathering of recruitment data, and we put a lot of emphasis on the communication with candidates. So now it is a requirement. So a potential candidate, is informed about the subsequent steps of the recruitment process and the results. So we just we really pay attention to that. And now, so there were no problems when defining the sort of the text and statements, provisions of particular paragraphs, but we had just one problem, and this one problem referred to the concerned the representation and the representation of selection boards. And we had long discussions on that within the team. And this discussion was also then continued with deans and also with trade unions. So that was a long process because nobody dared to include in this policy a declaration that the selection committees would be 50-50 as regards gender representation. We were then fighting for 75-25 perhaps, but it also turned difficult, and I will explain a little bit later why. So we finally received achieved a consensus that selection boards shall operate in a balanced composition and shall be composed of an uneven number of members holding competences and experience, allowing a reliable and substantive candidate assessment. And what does this balanced composition mean? This means that criteria for balanced composition of a selection board shall include members' gender and represented disciplines and represented internal units. So this was not what the HR Excellence in Research team suggested, but this was the result of the consultations with other university stakeholders. And why was it like that? I sort of borrowed some of the statistics, Eva, from the Gender Equality Plan, right? And just wanted to show you. And I'm sure that it is not a surprise for other universities, but because I know that we face the same challenges in terms of employment and employment structure. But to explain, in a sense, to justify, in a sense, this provision that we included in this policy, I'd like to show you the statistics here. So on the left, you've got a table presenting male and female academic teachers by academic degree. So you can see that the share of men and women is sort of comparable, right? Well, it's not comparable. There are more women in the group of a master's degree employees and doctor and PhDs. But when it comes to professors, for instance, so here we have only 28% of women. And again, when we look at this table on the right, and when you look at two faculties, in fact, two faculties, the faculty of Physics, Astronomy, and Applied Computer Science, and you can see that women represents only 17% of academic teachers in this faculty. And also when we look at Faculty of Mathematics and Computer Science, we've got 14% of women. And now I remember the discussions with the former dean of the Faculty of Mathematics, and saying that, okay, but we cannot have equal representation of men and women because we just have such and not such employment structure at the faculty, and also we have only a few percent of women in professors' posts. So, well, it is difficult to. We can of course discuss that, right? And I think that we are on a very good track to change it, but we need, in this case, we need to change it step by step. Okay. As I mentioned already, the introduction of the process of this policy, new recruitment policy, was time consuming, right? So we started in 2021, and we only introduced this in 2022. But again, before the law, before this ordinance of rector's ordinance came into existence, right, became effective, we also had sort of adjustment time when we asked the deans and we asked the faculties to look into their practices and try to change the selection boards, verify the composition of the selection boards, so as to meet the standards as declared in our new policy. So we gave them a few months to review and revise their policies. And well, to do that, because I'm running out of time, I think, so I will not present you the checklist, but we have prepared a special tool for deans to use and check what areas of the recruitment policies need to be revised. Okay, so where are we now? Having gone all this way through, right? So, what have we achieved something? Have we had? Can we praise? Can we boast some successes? And I think yes. The answer is yes, partially, because the open recruitment, open, transparent, and merit-based recruitment is now a recognized policy at the university, a standard. And I think it's like a common language that for everybody who is responsible for recruitment or is engaged in the recruitment process knows that OTMR policy is in existence at the university. It is embedded in the strategy of the university. There is also a mention, a reference to the policy in the gender equality plan, and it is also present in the statutes of the Jagiellonian University. So with this, we've got an explicit declaration and obligation to follow the rules of transparent recruitment and of equal treatment of all candidates. We also have a set of recommendations endorsed. And we have uniform job descriptions. We have job offers that follow that include all the obligatory elements. We've got appeal forms, and all the documents, all the recruitment documents are available both in Polish and in English. We also have new selection boards, and this is a success. I checked the composition of the selection board before this meeting. And I'm quite happy to say that in majority cases, they respect a balanced representation rule. So we have leaders of change, I would call them. It's like Faculty of Philosophy, Faculty of Philology, Faculty of Health Sciences, Faculty of Chemistry, Faculty of Management and Social Communication. But we have like also faculties that lag behind. I call them procrastinators. And that's the Faculty of Mathematics and Computer Science. And having said so, I decided to talk to the dean of this faculty after the meeting and ask him to do something about it, because the representation, the gender representation is not present there. And I understand that it may be that perhaps the proportion should not be 50 to 50, but still there should be some representation of women in this committee. And what are other successes that we are proud of is we've got a new appeal boards in place, and they are working. And we also monitor, to some extent at least, recruitment. We started receiving some, at least partial data concerning the recruitment, and I will show you some examples now. Again, I asked our Center for Human Resources who gathers the information from the units that hold recruitment and the recruitment processes. They are responsible for recruitment, to retrieve some data concerning how many women and how many men were offered a job through the recruitment process. And in 2023, as you can see, we had, for the post of an assistant, we had 36 positive results for women and 27 for men. In case of assistant professors, we had 57 positive answers, positive results for women, and 53 for men. And in the case of university professor, we had 2 women who were offered a job and 3 men who were offered a job. So this is, I think, quite an optimistic statistics, right? Because of course, this is again not the full picture. This is not the full picture, but still it is a good sign of change. And again, in this year, we've got the statistics that cover the period from January to September this year. And we have similar statistics, as you can see. So I think this is positive. This is positive, and the plus is that we are that people are aware that we are gathering the data also, that we'll be looking into these processes and we'll be monitoring. And still we are not giving the full data yet, because it's also a burden on the units to gather the data, because we are very inquisitive and we would like to learn how many women submitted the documents for a given job offering, how many were accepted, how many were rejected. We would also like to know if they come from from within the university, or are they from other universities in Poland, or perhaps they are from abroad. We would like to know if they are from the underrepresented group, so called. So we are sort of hungry for information, and so far we have not been fully successful in receiving the information. So we will need to revise the a little bit policy, but we would also need to require more from the university units and in retrieving the data, because I think it's very important to shape the policies and practices for future. And I told you that we introduced this appeal procedure, a very transparent one in the university, and this is like an evidence of this fact. Since between 2022 and 2023, we had 18 appeals filed by candidates, and the appeal boards met seven times to hear the allegations and hear the cases. The appeals came from 6 faculties, and the faculty that the faculty of law and administration, of course, as you can say, the lawyers, they filed the biggest number of appeals. And for this moment, 100 decisions about of the selection votes were upheld by appeal boards, but that may change. And what were the allegations? What were the objections raised by the candidates, by the rejected candidates? So they said that there was insufficient justification for rejecting a candidate. In one case, there was a failure to comply with the OTMR policy on the composition of the selection board. And I know that this case is still pending. So we don't know what the final decision will be. And I'm not quite sure what the justification was. Did it concern the gender representation or perhaps discipline representation? I don't know that. Another objection was that the opening, that there was no information on which criteria were decisive in choosing and selecting a candidate, and there was also an inadequate or undervalued assessment of academic performance of a candidate. So these were the major allegations. And what are our future challenges? So of course we will continue our trainings because we think that at the core of the problem is the low awareness of certain things. So we will need to work on that. Perhaps we will need to train the people involved in recruitment in equal treatment, in inclusive language, and other things. Of course, we will continue our efforts in ensuring that we have balanced representation in selection boards. We will see to that. We will monitor that. We will try to get more data on recruitment so that we have this full picture of our recruitment policies. And we also want to prepare something like what is called a candidate experience survey. So we don't have it now. I mean, we've got sort of a draft, but we would like to introduce that so that we know how the candidates assess the recruitment process, if there is something that we can improve. And well, the final words. As I mentioned, the introduction, the development of this policy, and the introduction of the policy, it was a long process. And was it worth it? And I think that the answer is yes. It was worth it. I can see the first signs, first symptoms. First of all, this policy, on the whole, the HR Excellence in Research Award was a catalyst for change at the university. So it sort of enforced, in a sense, cultural change and introduced and increased awareness of gender equality and other things. It also helped us improve our internal processes, because when we started working on recruitment, then we realized that, okay, so perhaps we should also start working on onboarding, and we did. So it was like a good stimuli. It also, of course, it also is it provides better funding opportunities, because if you have an open policy and transparent policy, so it's and you have this HR logo, so then the university is the chances of the university to get funding are bigger. Of course, the whole the OTIMER policy, the recruitment policy, made us see what other universities and what other institutions do in this respect. So we exchange information, we made contacts, and of course, we hope that through this policy, we will have better chances of recruiting and reaching talent globally, and thus increase our visibility and recognition. And I think with this, I would like to finish. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. It was really interesting for me, and I'm pretty sure not only for me, because it is a part of the work that is not visible on a regular basis. It's a lot of work, long process, a lot of negotiations, which come out later on in the form of the policy or some other document, but very rarely we are able to see the whole process and how it went through. So thank you very much for doing it. I will refer to some point of this presentation later on, and I will be talking about the training, gender training things. But also I want to say that in the chat there is a link to this form, and so it is possible for everyone to see the checklist. Right now, I will start the second part of our presentation, but I'm not able to move the slides. Can I kindly ask you to help me with this? Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So very shortly, because I also think that more or less we know why it is important to take care of the gender equality at the academia, but I will say a little bit about the challenges and the requirements that it brings to our universities. And first of all, for me, it is important that not only gender equality is a issue of simply justice and being fair place to work at or to study at, but also we cannot forget that gender inequalities simply make innovation and excellence impossible to happen. And this is already researched. We know that that if the gender discrimination is still present at the university, it is not possible to talk about diversity management. It is not possible to drive talents and drive from the diversity, which is important, as long as we have the situation of discrimination, because it is simply a situation when someone is, let's say, abusing someone else in order to achieve something great and big. And of course, we don't want situations like that. We know that dealing with gender inequality, it's a big challenge. It's been for years, it's been researched already, and we know more and more about the process, but still we did not manage to make academia a place with equity. And I guess this is one of our goals nowadays. We know that in order to achieve this state, we need to address structural changes. And by structural changes, I mean that we need to look thoroughly and deeply into a lot of or nearly all processes and structures of the university. We cannot only pick a spot and work in some, for example, one department or in few processes, but it needs to be a process which is deeply rooted into all processes in academia, and it has to be somehow embedded in all departments, but also in non-academic units, so in all the stuff which is not academic. And we know that in order to start those structural changes, we need to also somehow acknowledge the impact of gender capacity building and the need for high quality gender trainings. Yes, please. Next, please. Yes. So right now, the need for the structural change comes from very simple discovery that the picture of gender equality at academia right now is really not looking good. Thank you for bringing up the data from our university, but as you can see in here, the average of female professors or senior academics in European Union is only up to 26%, which is really, really low. And of course, gender equality is not about being 50-50 all the time. We know that, and I will refer to this later on. But this discrepancy simply shows that we have a lot of work, to do. And yet again, it is important to really integrate the gender perspective into research, because this is the thing that can assure the quality research simply. Yet we still face two main, let's say, challenges, which is horizontal segregation, and it means that, colloquially speaking, in those fields when we have money, power, and prestige, there's way more men than women in positions. And in those spheres, when we deal with caring duties, social issues, usually those branches are overrepresented by women. And the second phenomenon, which is vertical segregation, it is simply the same thing that happens in general in the labor market, which means that female academics, they face way more challenges, and due to those challenges, they more rarely reach the highest positions in the academic career, but also they are least represented in all different kinds of decision-making bodies. And that, of course, leads to the situation when they are somehow excluded from decision-making processes, so they have no influence in shaping, for example, policies and practices in academia. And here we come to, I think, one of the most important issues when we refer to gender equality. That for me, gender is just a label. But we know now that gender has to be taken into consideration in this intersectional approach. So it is not enough to only look for gender representation, because none of us is only a man or only a woman. We need to see deeper, first of all, with all kind of our identity features, which is race, disability, sexual orientation, age, but also in the context of academia, we need to be aware of the power positions in the academia. So we need to see whether, for example, those decision-making bodies are equally represented by disciplines or by departments, or also with the knowledge and expertise which of those parts are more influential, for example. It should prevent the situation when we have, for example, university which is run in theory equally by representatives of all departments, but in practice we have only few departments which are really vivid and present in decision-making processes. Yes, I was thinking about this. Yes, next, please. I think that. Oh, wait. Okay, so what I'm thinking of when I'm talking about gender capacity building, I refer to building knowledge, skills, and attitudes which can help us to build gender equality situation in academia, and it can happen on individual level. So it means that within particular people in particular positions, we can invest in their training, in their skills, or we can work on their attitudes in order to help them to recognize, for example, gender inequalities. And if they are in decision-making positions, we hope that they will use those knowledge, skills, and attitudes in order to react for situations of inequality, but also on the institutional level. It means that, for example, we provide trainings for everyone who is a member of some kind of decision-making bodies, because we want to assure that those members of those boards are not, for example, unconsciously biased. And I will get to the concept of unconscious bias later on. Yes, and of course, this last point here, I want to emphasize that it is really important to openly address the issue of gender inequalities also in key policies at the academia. And right now, we have the first gender equality plan being implemented in Jagiellonian University, also due to the help of the project MINDtheGEPs. But we already see the need to make clear connections in between this strategic document and other strategies that are being implemented in at the university. Next, please. So, what kind of obstacles we meet when we try to mainstream the gender topic? The first one is, I think, pretty common. I guess that it is very often that we hear that we don't have money for a lot of things, and I guess that, for example, gender training is one of the things that are the easiest to cut out when we lack some funding. But also, for me, it connects to the political will or political commitment, especially from the authorities of universities, because this is the authorities who somehow prioritize what is important and where the money go to. So it is important to see the link that if we have committed, engaged authorities, and they also understand the value of gender equality trainings and actions, it will be way easier to, of course, present, for example, some long-term training programs or mentoring programs, for example, for female academics. But this first part is not the only challenge which was found in the research made by the European, it is called European Institute of Gender Equality, and by the Gender Training and Quality Assurance report in 2013. The second issue was the lack of tailored training programs, which were addressed, which were addressing specific academic context. And I think that this is absolutely key issue, because all kind of gender actions should be tailored and should refer to diagnosed specific context at our particular university. I don't really believe in very unified programs or trainings where very abstract concepts are presented. I guess it is really important that the training program refers to like everyday challenges that for example, female academics face in their working environment. And for example, the structure of each university is different. The practice of implementing different policies are different. So we need to know all of it, and we need to use this knowledge in preparation of those training programs if we want them to be really applicable. And I think this is crucial, that they have to be useful, applicable for those who come to those training. And the last part is that was found out is that a lot of gender programs or gender actions are lacking the systemic evaluation of training impacts. And here I think that I know why, because it is really, really difficult to measure. This is usually these programs have are foreseeing long-term effects. But there's a lot of discussion also in the feminist academic surroundings regarding what kind of criteria are really, really applicable and are really adequate to measure the impact of such trainings. Next, please. So, as an answer to those obstacles, what kind of strategies we know that are effective? Yes, tailored and context-sensitive trainings. It means that we really need to know for whom we are preparing the training and what is the exact context of their work. And for example, I will talk about it more later on, but in case of our department, when we are asked to prepare some kind of training, we always go for like a prep interview to, for example, to the dean or someone else at the department level, but we need to know more about the particular situation in this place when the training is to take place, because we need to be sure that we know how to address, for example, this particular context. Second thing, I also already mentioned that shortly, that gender equality plans, they have to be integrated into other policies, and they have to be interlinked, and if they are, there is a chance that they are reinforcing one another, but also it helps to implement those policies because they are coherent. When we have a situation when gender equality plan is simply added because we wanted to use funds from Horizon 2020, for example, it will be really difficult to fulfill the obligations promised in gender equality plan, because they are not interlinked with other actions of the university. And last point, we know that in order to make any kind of systemic change and any time of change which is sustainable, we need to have support from the leadership, and we need to have clear accountability measures, because we need to be able to help people accountable for example, not complying accordingly with the gender equality policies. And yes, this is the case which was coming to my mind when I was listening to the previous part of our meeting and presentation, that the problems with lacking of women who are able to, for example, join the recruitment board, this problem starts way before there is a composition of this board member. And this is something that the deans of those highly imbalanced departments need to take into consideration, that this is also their responsibility to make an effort to start very early on to make the representation more balanced. And again, I don't mean 50-50, this is not possible and this is not the case, but it means that there has to be any kind of representation, not only on the basis of gender, but also on the basis of parenting status, for example, the path of the career, and many other factors which are really bringing the diversity and to this board. And it is important that the board has these experiences and this expertise, because then they are more likely to see the challenges and possibilities also in the candidates who they interview. Next, please. Yes, so what kind of impact can the such gender training have? First of all, I will maybe start with the individual level. It is really well researched right now that female academics refer to the need for simply mentorship, for example. It is not only that it is very often that female academics do not have role models, because in their, for example, discipline, there's very little women who have been in higher position when they reached academia and started to develop their career. But there's also a great need to implement or to support the formulation of female academic networks and other kinds of mentoring when when female academics can simply share their experiences, but can also take support from someone who share their path and share those experiences. And on the institutional level, yes, I was also talking about this already before. We need inclusive policies and diversity in decision-making processes, but in all those for example, recruitment bodies, we have simply people who are also biased, as we all are. So those gender trainings are really necessary in order to somehow make people aware that being gender blind or being gender biased, it's not a case of bad will. This is not the case when we have bad, evil people who want to hurt someone. It is simply case of some social mechanisms that are that we are not aware, and also it is a case when a lot of procedures or practices at academia are gender blind, which means that from the first sight, it seems that they only focus on those merit-based requirements, but when we dig deeper, we see that in practice they are gender biased. And the good news is that we, first of all, we can learn about those processes and we can gain this awareness about ourselves, but also there are simply recruitment tools that also help us to be less gender biased, let's say. So, but for example, those boards should be trained with using those tools. Next, please. Yes, so very shortly, I have reflections on those two parts, like politics of trainings and practices of trainings. And in this first area, I would emphasize the need to address the challenge of funding constraint regarding gender equality trainings. We simply cannot afford not to afford for those trainings from my perspective, because without this effort, we will not change the contemporary situation. And also, we need to focus not only on short-term approaches and short-term trainings, but in order to really change attitudes, we need to invest in long-term programs. And we can do it by integrating those long-term institutional change, by integrating those trainings into long-term institutional change strategies. And also, we can foster a lot of tailored trainings which can address systemic power dynamics at the academia. So we can also make this kind of those challenges kind of key issue in the training. So we can put on the table the fact that we know about those systemic power dynamics and that we know that there are tools how to work with them. Next, please. Yes, and regarding the practice of training, yes, the best practices that I draw from the report of UN Women in 2016 is to be collaborative, to work in the collaborative and participatory training design, which means that what we do is we usually ask people for whom we are preparing the training what needs, what kind of educational needs they identify, and we prepare in some cases those trainings in cooperation with them. It is important that such trainings are not only referring to theoretical parts and theory, but also they should have this applicable part. So not only we want to bring some kind of knowledge on, for example, gender perspective, but also people should get to know how they can use it in their work. And very important thing is also that people who provide those trainings, they have to be aware and they have to be trained deeply in this topic. Because, for example, especially in trainings when we talk about power dynamics and there are men and women present in the training room, in many cases, those power imbalances are also visible during the training. And for example, it leads to situation when female participants, for example, do not ask questions or do not want to share their experiences. And this is also why in our unit we provide some trainings, especially or solely for female academics. But also I want to mention, and I want to say it openly, that whenever we advertise our trainings, this is not the case that we have plenty of men willing to attend. So this is not a case of being not accessible for men. I think that we struggle in encouraging men, especially men in power positions, to attend such gender trainings. And regarding the training modalities, we think that this is really effective way of blending in-person training and online training. So we also deliberately divide, for example, topics of some kind of long-term training, and some meetings are in person and are more focused or led in the way of workshop training, and some parts are being done online. Thank you. We are running out of time, so I will kindly ask you to go further. I will skip those standards. Yes, here, because I want to mention about the possibilities of training at our university. First of all, within the MINDtheGEPs project, we already provided the so-called Breaktop Lab, which was a online training for people in managerial positions. And it referred also, of course, to gender inequalities and solutions to those inequalities in academia. But also, we already provided once a so-called Empower Lab, which is a 16-hour workshop for female academics. And this training will be repeated at the beginning of next year, and we will be advertising it. And we hope that it will bring same amount of emotions and effects like the previous one, because in my opinion, the previous Empower Lab was pretty successful. After the training, the group of women who attended the training, they stayed in contact, and they also planned like a supportive, small supportive groups. So they gathered around topics that were interested for them, and they are meeting and talking about those issues, offering support for one another. Also, we provide other trainings apart from those within MINDtheGEPs project. From time to time, we lead this anti-discrimination workshops. It is again 16 hours, so it is like 2 full days training. It is a workshop training, so it's not a lecture. It's a workshop in which, in very active way, participants are allowed to experience some unequal positions or situations. Then they are also gaining knowledge in regard mechanisms of inequalities and exclusion and discrimination. But we finish the workshop with tools for making academics' everyday work more equal. So it also has this applicable component. We also provide from time to time vendor training, which is assertiveness and self-defense for women. It's a method which was invented in Canada in the 70s, and I highly recommend it to every female academic. We also deal a lot with trainings on open communication and setting boundaries. And of course, also due to socialization, female academics have more troubles or problems with setting boundaries also in their professional life. And especially lately, We work a lot on inclusive language workshops because language is our tool, everyday tool for communication. So it is also, and language is very vivid tool. So this is something that needs also to be addressed from time to time. And those trainings are pretty popular, let's say, among our colleagues and academics. I think I will finish here. Thank you very much.